Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of the Malibu van 600 DBK. To start, we'll walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first. So if we open the sliding door, you've got the switch for your step, which retracts it and puts it out. You've got your various light switches for inside the vehicle, and you've got a mains plug. On the sliding door, it is fitted with a fly screen on the cargo door. And then just behind the door, you've got a black handle. So this black handle is for your waste water. So this is anything that you've put down a plug hole, your shower water, your hand basin water, your dishes water, goes into a separate holding tank. And on the way out of your site, you'd pull over the motorhome service bay, crank the handle, the water will drain out through the centre. But it's very important in the winter that you drain this. This is one of the points you'll want to drain off, because if the water freezes, it'll cause a lot of damage in the tank underneath. With the back, so using the Carthago key, this is your freshwater intake. So this is where you get a hose pipe, put your hose pipe in there, get some hose pipe connections, put it in and fill the vehicle with fresh water. You can either wait until it overflows, or you can see on the control panel how much water you've got on board at any one time. In this corner here, so this is with the beds up. If you drop the beds down, remove this section here. In here is your freshwater tank. So you're filled from that end of the vehicle. If you want to drain it down, you would use this handle here. It will tell you 3/4 to the left, opens and drains out the water. So all you need to do is listen for the water, and you'll see it pour out underneath the chassis, and that'll drain off your fresh water. So if you've taken on any contaminated water, you're draining down for the winter, or you're simply not using the vehicle for a couple of weeks, drain off your fresh water, but more so in the winter to stop the tank from splitting. So in the back, you do have a raised floor, so you can store on here, and then you store underneath, and you've got the loops for your tethering points. This does just lift out, so there's two little catches, and you can lift it all out if you were wanting to store larger items in the vehicle, like bikes and so on. And then you can fold your beds up. The straps in the cabinets that just hook on to the chrome catch here, keep the bed base up. And then what you can do is you can lift these out to store items in the vehicle, such as bikes or larger equipment. But when using the bed, if you just put the bars back in, as this distributes the weight evenly across the back of the vehicle. And in here you do have your gas locker. So you can fit 2 6 kilogram bottles, in here. So this is our test bottle. What you do is, to connect the pigtail to the bottle, it's opposite thread, so it's right to loosen and left to tighten. You'd hand tighten it, and then there's no need for a spanner with this particular pigtail, as it's a hand tighten one. You turn it off before you leave your site, turn it on when you arrive, and always make sure that the bottle is securely strapped in. And then you have space at the back for a spare. Going round to the passenger side of the vehicle, you do have rear sensors on here as well. So looking at the back bumper, you've got 4 sensors on the back. and your high level brake light at the top. You've got your vent here for your Truma boiler system, so your boiler is located underneath the bed on this side. You've got your mains connection point, so to hook the vehicle up, you get your hooker blade, lift and expose the end, lift the flap on the vehicle and slide on. Hook the vehicle up first, then the power source, and do it in reverse when unhooking the vehicle. So this is your cassette toilet, so using the Cathargo key again, you can open the locker. You want to ensure that the blade is in the closed position and the toilet is in the correct position to get the cassette out. And then once the blade's closed, you'll be able to lift the orange handle and slide it out. If the blade was to be in the open position, you'll just get no movement with the cassette. And then you'd slide it out. You've got some wheels so you can drag it to your disposal point, which is beside your toilet block. Then what you do is you remove the cap, press the orange button at the back and tip it out. Once you've tipped it out, there's normally a tap next to the disposal point. So if you put some water in, put the cap back on, you give it a rinse and tip out again. And then if you're using the liquid form of chemical, this is 120 millilitres, this cap, so you'd put a full cap of chemical into the cassette and it's good to go back into the vehicle. If you were using the tablet form, which is in the cellophane sachets, you put a pint of water in, which you can do now when it's out, or you can push it back in, flush a pint of water down into the cassette, followed by a tablet. Come to the passenger door, so just behind you do have your diesel, which opens with the main Fiat key. And then below you've got your AdBlue, so as it's a new styled diesel engine for emissions, it now takes AdBlue. So it's a 19 litre tank. It'll indicate on the dash when it needs it, and a full tank will do around 5,000 miles. It'll give you a warning. As soon as the warning comes up, it'll give you a mileage countdown until the engine won't start. This is where you would need to top up with AdBlue. So you can either buy it in the drums, or you can buy it on the pumps like the wagons. It tends to be a little bit cheaper buying it on the pump. And what you can do is fill it up, and then the AdBlue light will go off. If you did let it run dry, the engine will fail to start, or the vehicle can go into limp mode. You've got your tyre pressures here, so 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi. All your fuses for the leisure battery is in your electric block unit underneath the passenger seat. Engine battery is underneath the floor here, and your bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard. So having a quick look underneath the bonnet. You've got your screen wash in the corner here underneath the driver's steering wheel. This cover lifts off and you can fill your coolant. Put your brake fluid, your oil. There's no dipstick on the new Series 8 Ducato. It's all through the carb. On the dashboard instrument cluster you can view your level of oil digitally. You've got an earth, and then behind the headlight, using your key or screwdriver, if you lift this cover up, you've got your positive terminal for giving or receiving a jump start. Once on board the vehicle, if you lift the acrylic cover up above the habitation door, which will reveal your control panel and your Truma heating control panel. So this here is indicating that we are hooked up. We are on 230 mains. Your hookup lead is in the side of the vehicle, and to turn it on, you turn on there until you get the green light. If this wasn't on, you'd just be on 12 volt. As this is on, you will have household power on board, so 230 volts to power a kettle, a hairdryer, and your other bits and pieces. Above you've got your a music symbol. This is to power the head unit in the cab, so when you are parked up and you want to listen to the radio, instead of having the ignition on, you can have that on and it'll power the head unit and the dash. And then this side at the top you've got your leisure battery reading, so that's the vehicle, that is the battery that the motorhome side of the vehicle will use. Below you've got your fresh water reading, so it's saying we've got 75% of fresh water on board and 25 of waste, which is below the fresh. And then the one of the vehicle battery at the front is your Peugeot battery, which is saying it's 12.12 volts, as it's a brand new vehicle, and that'll go up once you start putting some miles on the vehicle. And next to it you've got your Truma heating system. So to weight this up, press and hold until you get this screen, and then you can press the button, go into it. So the van with the thermometer in is the temperature of the van, so you can have 30 degrees max all the way down to off. So for this we'll say 20. Once you're happy with 20, just press the wheel once. That's preset your temperature to 20 degrees. Going further along, you've got the temperature in the water, which is the hot water, so you've got it on off. So if you've got no water on board, don't put the water on. You've got off. You've got eco, which will save a little bit of electricity or whatever source you're using. It will use a less powered source. You've got hot, or you've got boost. Boost prioritizes the water to the heating, so should you want to do your dishes or have a shower quicker, put it on boost and it'll heat the water up to temperature far quicker than it would if you had heating and hot water on together. So for this we'll just say hot, and then going along you've got a gas bottle and electricity marks there. This is the temperature. No, sorry, this is your source, the energy source you are using off. So this one here, so you've either got gas on its own, so if you're wild camping it and you weren't hooked up, you'd have to heat your water and vehicle off gas. You've got a mixture of 1 kilowatt in gas. You've got a mixture of 2 kilowatt in gas. You'd use this more if you were hooked up in the winter and it was cold. You'd put mix 2 on and it'd heat the water or the van up far quicker, and then you would turn it over to electric. You've got electric on 1 kilowatt, which you would use on a smaller CL site or abroad, but in this country, if you've paid your site fees and you don't mind waiting for the van or water to heat up, you just put it onto electric 2, and that would heat your van up and water up within about 25 minutes. Going along you've got the fan, so you've got eco or high. So if you are wild camping, you put on eco because this uses a 12 volt fan, which obviously is using power from your leisure battery, and obviously you're not hooked up, so you don't want to drain it on having a fan. Or you've got high, which you can use when hooked up, and it'll blow the air around the vehicle. You've got your timer here, which you can time the heating to go on and off just once. So if you were getting up at 8 o'clock, you might want the heating to come on at 7 just to get the van nice and warm before you're getting up. Here you've got the clock, so this is the time displayed on the front clock, which is a screen. And if you do get a warning triangle in the middle, if you go down to reset, press and hold, you can reset the control panel and boiler to see if the heating will work should it have failed. So in the kitchen area you've got 2 gas burners which are lit there. So once you've had them on, if you allow the burners to go cool before you put the hob top down, and then you do have a sink cover which also doubles up as a chopping board to give you that extra little bit space when using the hob. Cutlery tray, and you've got 2 gas taps there. One's for the fridge, which will be blanked off because the fridge is 12 volt compression fridge, and the other one is for the hob. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. Push the catch in to keep the doors secure when travelling, and then you do have a large storage underneath. Coming further back, pushing the catch in behind the handle on all the overhead lockers, it'll release the door and you've got a nice bit of storage in there. Raised worktop with some more storage, and then to operate your Thetford compression fridge, this will run off 12 volt off your leisure battery, or when you're hooked up, but it'll just be 12 volt because obviously you can downgrade 240 to 12, but you can't upgrade 12 to 240 without an inverter. So You'd press and hold to turn on and off. Turn off, press and hold again, turn it back on. You can go up and down with the temperatures here. So when pre-chilling, you probably want it on 5. Once you put your shopping in, you probably want to turn it down to 4 or 3, just so it doesn't freeze your shopping. Just wait until it starts flashing. There you are, and you can go up and down with the temperature. And then you can turn the moon on. The moon will reduce the performance of the fridge slightly to lower the decibels. So this is like a nighttime setting. So you can turn that on when you're going to sleep to stop the fridge from being as loud. What you'll want to do with the fridge and the freezer is, when you are packing it away for the winter, or you're simply not using it for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, take everything out, clean it all out, and then you don't want to shut the door fully because it will trap the air inside, and that's when you'll get mold and bacteria growing in the fridge. So on the handle here, there's a little blue clip. Slide it in the middle and then rest the door upon it, and it'll stop the door from shutting on itself. So in your washroom, your toilet tucks away to give you a bigger shower cubicle. And then when it is tucked away and you're using the shower, you just put this down here, and that'll stop any water from sitting on top of the toilet lid and flooding in that area. It'll just deflect it all back into the shower tray. But you turn this, the little black stopper on there, so that's where you'd rest your foot, and slide the toilet out. So when it's in this position here, it's in the emptying position, which is position B. Pull it out till it clicks in, and then it's in position C, and you can turn and you'll be able to fix it in position. To use the toilet, ensure you've got water on board. There's a button just underneath the cabinet here, which is a flush button. So it's a blue button. You'd press the blue button, which will flush your toilet. So you always want to flush first, and then you'll probably notice this grey lever here. This is to open the hatch, which is the blade. So flush first to lubricate the seal, and then open it, which is slide to the right. Doing it this way will stop the slide from getting dirty and ensure everything goes into the cassette. Then what you will want to do is flush after you've used the toilet. This is where, if you bought the liquids and you bought the blue and the pink together, the pink's more for caravans as it's got a header tank, but what you can do is, if you keep a spare spray bottle, you can dilute it, spray the bowl before you flush, and it'll do the same job. It'll clean the bowl, and it'll give that nice fragrant smell. Flush after use, and then you want to slide this grey lever back to the left to shut the hatch on the top of the cassette. If the blade / the hatch was to be left open when you were trying to pull the cassette out the outside of the van, it'll not come out when it's open. It's got to be in the closed position to allow the mechanism to release the cassette. You've got your shower head here, so when winterizing, we always advise that you unscrew the shower head from the hose and lie the hose in the tray with all the mixer taps throughout the vehicle open. Light switch. You do have a mains plug in the washroom, but because of the UK law, that can't work, so we've got to disable that. If you were in Europe, Germany, where these are built, you're allowed a plug, that's why they put them in, but for the UK market you can't have a plug operating. So if you're plugging something in and you wonder why it's not working, it's disconnected for a reason, for your safety. Toiletry cabinet, got a mirror, more toiletry storage, your shower screen which comes across, Also lines the door, and then you can pull across the wooden slide door and it clips into position. And then you just push that down to release the door. But that's more easy to wipe down. And then you've got your small cover on the window there with a blackout blind and a fly screen. And to open, you would just push the button and release. The little black stopper at the top, which you turn to keep the window out. Turn it back to release the window and bring it in. Always make sure that all your windows and skylights are securely shut before you start travelling. So as this has got the pop top, your ladders clip on here and they do fold, so releasing the lever here you can then pull them apart, but always make sure when the ladder is in use they're securely fastened together. But you've got your large bed here, fly screen on the front one, PVC windows on this one, and a fly screen on this side. Light on the ceiling there for the 2 spotlights. And then when bringing the roof down, what you need to do is handles up there, so you'd grab a hold of them. So pull the centre, pull so far down, and then you'll notice 2 straps on the side of the canvas. Pull them in, as well as trying to ensure that the front doesn't get caught, and then pull down. Then what you'll want to do is tuck it all back neatly. Put the butterfly clip on the bar. So to shut the roof, put the clip onto the bar here, on the butterfly clip, and then you turn it to lock it in, and then push it flat, and then put, for safety, the safety belt on, and you do that on both sides, and that's your roof securely fastened and you're ready to travel. But make sure that you don't catch the canvas between the roof and the metal of the van, because you could snag the canvas and rip it. In the rear, underneath your bed on the passenger side, behind this cupboard door here, you have your boiler, and your boiler will hold 10 litres of water at any one time, and in the winter it's crucial you get the water out, and you don't want the water to freeze. So this here is your automatic frost drain for the boiler, and once the temperature reaches 3 degrees this will automatically open and drain off the water. But it is important that you check, and if not, do it yourself before it reaches 3 degrees. If it is going to be a cold night, or if the van is at home, you can drain it off well before when you've stopped using it. You can drain it off well before it has to drain itself off. And to do so, turn this, the button at the bottom pops out and the water will drain directly underneath the chassis. And when it coming back to use it, put the valve across the van and push the button at the bottom back in, and then this will hold water again. You've also got your hot water drain tap there as well, so this lets all the water that's in the pipes out as well, directly underneath the chassis. Above your boiler, in your passenger side rear bed, if you lift the top of the bed up, you've got your RCD unit. So here you've got your circuit breakers when on 230 volt when you're hooked up. So should your kettle or your hairdryer blow the fuse, you can check here before you check your main site RCD. So now in the cab, which is based on a Series 8, which is the brand new Ducato on the market, you've got the handbrake to the right, electric driver and passenger windows, and then the electric mirror adjustment. So you can choose 2 mirrors on each side, one being the blind spot, the bottom one, the other one being the big normal mirror. Remus car blinds fitted to the sides and the windscreen, so driver and passenger is very much the same. So you'd pinch and slide along, and then you'd pinch the windscreen one, slide that one into the middle, and it's just on a magnetic strip. To the right of the driver, you do have your headlight adjustment, your rear fog lights, and you can turn your stop start off. But your stop start will only work under certain factors. If you've got such as your aircon on, or your battery, or your vehicle's been stood up for a little while and the battery's not charged fully, the stop start won't work until it's charged. You've got your wipers and your lights and your indicators. All the trip computer is on the left hand side with these here. So you've got, starting off with your instant info, so you've got your range and your current fuel use, which is obviously when you're driving, it'll give you an instant consumption. You've got your average fuel use, you've got your AdBlue level, so once this gets low, it'll put an AdBlue light on, and that's when you will top up with 19 litres of AdBlue, or how much it takes, but it is a 19 litre tank. You've got any alerts, so again, any doors open, any engine lights, any AdBlue lights will come up on here. Vehicle setup, you can press OK, and you can go through the display units, change your time and date, the security, so it'll lock, you can passenger airbag, speed beep if you go over, the volume of the speed beep. You've got your lights, so you've got courtesy lights on this one. So what you can do is you can set them to either 0, 60, 0, 30, 60 or 90 seconds. So if you're parking at home, it'll leave the headlights on a timer for either 30, 60 or 90 seconds, so you can safely get in to the house. And then you can lock your doors, so you can have an auto door locking function, so once it gets over a certain speed, it will lock the doors. But that's all in there. You've got your hands free and your voice command, and then you have got your cruise control, which will come up cruise ready, and you can set that, cancel it without touching the brake, or you can use the brake and then you can resume it to the last speed set. And you've got your limiter, so it'll say speed limiter ready, and it'll have lim at the bottom, and you can go up and down here and set your speed limiter. This one is a automatic, so it's on the 9-speed automatic gearbox. So pushing the button in, you can go from park to reverse, which will bring on the sensors on this one. The head unit is ready to take a camera, but it depends whether you've opted a camera when the vehicle was built. Neutral, drive, or you can go into manual and you go up and down the gears. Drive modes, it'll go through eco, normal and power. Eco will save a little bit of fuel. Normal, I would just leave it in normal if I was you, or power, it'll hold the gear longer and give it a bit more revs. Coming down here, you've got your heated mirrors, hazards, locks the doors, traction control, and hill descent control. So hill descent control, so it'll come up gravity control, connected, It's basically all it is hill descent control. So if you're going down a steep hill and you're on your brakes all the time, this will kind of put an engine brake on as well. So you've got your climate control this side, so hot and cold does your temperature, this does your fan speed. You've got your air con, you've got off if you don't want it on completely. You've got your recirculation, and then you've got wherever you want to have it to your feet, you want it to the screen, you just want it to the screen, or you want it to your face as well. So this is your distribution. You've got your max aircon, so it'll put the